Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Louden, jenniferlouden.com with a strange kind of thing here in front of you and my voice. I'm going to explain this thing in front of you and what it means and how you can use it. I have been traveling a lot, and while I've been touching in with my book and working on it on the weeks in between when I'm home, let's just face it, it's really hard to travel and write for me, not for everybody. And so this week, when it was time to really get back into the memoir, I found myself nothing less than terrified, really feeling anxious and out of it, and oh my God, how do I begin again? And so I really needed to remember all the tools that I have because I have a deadline and it makes me just terrified to even say it. But I want to finish this next draft by July 21st. That's about 5 weeks from now. When I'm recording this, and it means a really concentrated effort. It means I can't mess around. So I can't lose a week to slowly beginning again. But I also know that I can't be cruel to myself, or parts of me will just dig in my heels and I'll lose more time. So here's what I did to start, is I started this cluster. Some people call these mind maps. I call them clusters from the art therapist and therapist Gabrielle Rico. She wrote a book, The Natural Way to Writing, quite a long time ago. And this is my idea of clustering. You can probably not even read my handwriting. That's okay. I'm showing it to you so you know you can do this down, dirty, and fast. See in the middle how I started with a question, how to restart with compassion and energy. Right, a question is a great way to start a cluster map. What's your particular question about beginning again with your writing project? Make it a positive question, okay? Don't start like, does this book even matter, or why should I care? Probably not the best question to cluster, but yours might be a little different. Mine's like, how can I have compassion for myself? Because I know if I push myself, as I said a moment ago, if I'm cruel to myself, it's not going to work. But I also don't want to like collapse. I want energy and determination. I kind of want to get up on my water skis and get out of the water, right? And not just kind of be dragged behind the boat. So you see to the right, I wrote cluster. The first thing I was doing was like, oh, right, do a cluster. And even though I'd already started, I just wanted to remind myself, yes, that's a good idea. But I can also cluster, which I didn't do here. You're not seeing that. Scenes to write. So you can cluster a question around how to write, restart with compassion and energy, or you could just start with what scenes to write next, what sections to write next, what questions to explore next, and then start clustering those. And then, as you say, I say go. Handwrite, then type. Here's one of the things that can be really useful to restarting. Don't try to go in and figure out what the project is about again. Don't try to find the heart line. Just start writing some scenes or sections by hand. Writing practice. Now, you're not writing to yourself, you're not journaling, you're writing to stretch to connect to a reader, but you're letting it be rough and get it out and keep your hand moving for 10 or 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever feels doable. Then type that in, doing a light rewrite and leaving out anything, which there will be a lot, but that you just repeated yourself or it's not that great, but not really slowing down and doing any kind of real editing. That's a great way to start generating some new material. Underneath then type, you'll see I wrote breadcrumbs. Now, for those of you who retreat with me, you know this is like, I am a broken record about this, and I'll be a broken record with you all in my videos too. As you start to write, even if the first day back is 15 minutes or half an hour, leave yourself a clear place to go the next day. Don't make yourself restart day after day. Ever, but especially not in the beginning of beginning again with a project, okay? A breadcrumb can be, I was thinking about what to say about mom and her hat on that day. No one else will understand that, but you will. Or I really want to explore why the millennials are having a hard time communicating with perennials. Whatever's going to allow you to jump right back in. Underneath that, I wrote read notes. I keep a running notebook while I'm writing of questions and concerns, my process, separate from the main document of the book. I learned that from Steinbeck. He did that. Actually, he wrote all of his books by hand, and on the right-hand side of his notebook, he would write the actual book, and on the left hand, the questions, concerns, fears that he had. I write in Scrivener, And so I keep a separate document in Scrivener. And what I might do after I've been writing, I don't do this first because that's a rabbit hole that you'll go down, is read over my notes. I actually have a separate document outside my notebook that says read regularly. And I keep distilling. What is the book about right now? What are the questions I'm exploring? What am I on to right now? And that's a much, much, much briefer document than the big notebook. So I might read over that to begin to reacquaint myself. Okay, going back to the middle, how to restart with compassion and energy, you'll see right underneath it, study one thing. This is something that is super great to do, again, after writing, maybe in the afternoon, or even sometimes I'll do it in bed before I read a book for pleasure. What's bugging me about getting back into the writing? What's something that feels like I can't do? Or, oh, I can't believe my writing's that bad. Or, wow, why can't I figure out how to weave together my reflections, a very important part of memoir, with my scenes. So I might take down one of the books I have on a special bookshelf of memoirs that I constantly refer to. Today it was When Women Were Birds by Terry Tempest Williams, and pick out a couple sections looking for and reading them very slowly to try to teach myself how I can weave in, for example, reflection and scenes. Just trying to feed my unconscious and pick out a few particular things, maybe writing a few sentences down. Underneath how to start next to study one thing, you'll see plan scrum. Scrumming is something people do in sports, especially football and rugby. And it means to plan a few weeks, I think at the most a month or 6 weeks. It's a management term people are starting to use, of a really deep dive where everyone on the team is working on a project. And it has some very particular qualities. You have a short meeting, I think, the end of every day. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to be, how can I really plan out how I can really focus and make finishing this draft my number one priority between now and July 21st. But again, not going to do that before I do writing for the day. But plan the scrum means, for me, looking at the dates, what needs to be written what needs to be written when, and how can I back it up and really get it clear in my mind what it's going to take, what it's really going to take to do this. You'll see over on the left, talk to Lisa. Lisa is one of my dear friends, and she's also an amazing writer. And you can take writing classes with her if you live in Boulder. You can look for information on my private Facebook page about that. And reach out to somebody, right? Reach out to another writer. Just feel less alone in this. Above talk to Lisa, you'll see on break dopamine hit. Not that you could ever read my writing on that. So that means after I've been writing for an hour and a half, when I'm naturally going to go downstairs and get some water and have my breakfast, I start writing really early in the morning. Then I could do something on my list that's very small and discreet. In this case, it was call the doctor's office about some test results. And that gives me a little dopamine hit in my body, in my hormones, that says, yes, you can do this. Yes, you're a person who gets things done. Because when we're working on big writing projects or any kind of writing projects, the progress is so incremental. It's very hard to know we are making progress. And one thing we can do to help our brains work better is weave in these little tiny dopamine hits. And they got to be small, or otherwise you'll go off on your whole to-do list. They give you a little sense of efficiency and efficacy. All right, up above, you see phase in ritual. I have a simple writing ritual. It falls apart when I'm gone and I stop doing it. So I'm not going to go full bore right back into the whole ritual, because again, I'll dig in my heels and say, no, I won't do it. So I'm going to phase it in a little by little. The first one is put on my headphones. I wear headphones, and when I'm fully into the ritual, I listen to music, but listening to music feels like too much right now. So I'll just put on the headphones. No news or social media. That's before I have my lunch. So today what I did was I did my whole writing period from about 7:30 to 10. And then I let myself have a little bit of social media, but no news. And tomorrow it will be no social media or news. So I'll just kind of like make my way back into it little by little. Short bursts of writing. So I wrote for 3 bursts between that time and that whatever it was, 7:30 to 10. I didn't try to write the whole time. I didn't try to immerse myself completely. But hopefully by the end of the week, that's where I'll be, where I won't be checking email or doing any dopamine hits or looking at Facebook or anything during that time. Just really letting myself be immersed by extending those short bursts. I do use a timer. I stop it once I'm fully in the ritual. If I get up to make my breakfast or if I have to answer the door or do other things, take care of the dog. So I really know that I'm going to be dedicating that amount of time to my writing every day so that I can meet my goal. And then you also see art journal energy. I don't know if you can read that underneath phase in ritual. I don't know if you can read any of this. Hopefully gives you a general idea of how bad my handwriting is. No, a general idea of how I'm going back into the book. Now, art journaling is something that I've learned from Lisa Sonora and other people over the years. And I'm doing an art journal for the book, where I let my unconscious work when I've got a lot of energy going, right? Do you know that feeling? You're like, oh my God, there's so much creative energy pouring through me, but I can't find the words. And so that's often when we ping away into things on our to-do list or our family or our business building, whatever other, projects we have going on in our lives, which are a lot. So to help stay immersed in the book world, I have my art journal, a pile of images that Lisa Sonora calls a compost pile. And everything in it is interesting to me or intriguing or off-putting and feels somehow in some part of my body and unconscious related to the book. I have some paints and crayons and things and glue sticks. And I go over and I work in the art journal and just kind of playing and just remembering I'm doing this. It's not about making art. It's about what can I explore? How can I shape and stay with that energy in this very sort of daydreamy way, which research shows is super important to our overall productivity, happiness, and creative output. Okay, so those are some ideas about how I am making my way back into my project. So which ones would work for you or spark some of your own? The truth is, my darling, you know how to always begin again. You know how to do this. You have the courage, you have the insights. You know everything from keep writing that shitty first draft, keeping your hand moving, not going it alone, staying off social media, but how are you going to make it specific and doable? It's okay if it feels like a stretch. It's okay if it makes you uncomfortable. That's totally normal. Writing for most people is difficult, scary, odd feeling. Just embrace that. Maybe that's the first step to beginning again. There's nothing about you that's wrong or broken. I'm right there with you. And so are millions of other writers. It might also help to connect to your desire for this project, your desire to give shape to your beautiful, important, one-of-a-kind voice. And also to your devotion. How devoted are you willing to be to make this voice of yours a force in the world and to shape it and craft it over time so it can really connect to readers? I think the answer to that desire and devotion are bottomless, powerful forces. So how will you use those forces and begin again today? It matters. Thanks.